Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country Ukraine since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos I try to update you on the important real-life situations in my country Ukraine, and of course I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our history, culture, background, or whatever interests you. And today I want to speak about the holiday that we celebrate nationally, and that is the Day of the Ukrainian Language and Writing. And it is a very symbolic holiday today because it stands for our unity, our freedom, our independence. Traditionally on this day, there were no specific celebration or ceremonies, but a national radio dictation was organized and it was held today, which is once again symbolic during this Russian war in Ukraine, and many popular people join writing it. You can then check the results online, or you can even mail via regular mail your text, and then we know who was the best one, who got the best points. Traditionally, these texts are taken from classical Ukrainian literature, modern Ukrainian literature, and they unite people, and I think this is a nice tradition. Honestly, I did not write it this year, and perhaps I'm not that good at dictations, but I think this is a very valuable tradition, and let me know if you have something similar in your countries, because I believe you do. And I think it's worth to tell you a few interesting facts about Ukrainian, and later I will also link you a video from our Soviet myths debunked series, where we talk about the difference between Russian and Ukrainian language, and that of course this is not one language at all. Ukrainian is one of the oldest Slavic languages. It belongs to Indo-European family of languages, and it is pretty big. According to various statistics, our lexical storage is close to 256,000 words, which is a lot. Also, despite the centuries of Russification and various orders and circulars edited by Russian Empire, by Austro-Hungarian Empire, and other countries that temporarily occupied Ukraine, Ukrainian language was persecuted and forbidden. It survived, and not only it survived, but it is among the most popular 30 or 20 the most popular languages in the world. We have more than 45 million native speakers who live in Ukraine, in Belarus, in Poland, and it is the state language only of Ukraine, but it is widely spoken where Ukrainians live, and perhaps today you can hear it on your streets, because we're very grateful for so many people and so many countries who support Ukrainian refugees who have to live in your beautiful countries because of war in Ukraine. And let me know, what are your impressions of Ukrainian language when you hear it? Here in Ukraine, we like to describe it as very melodic, and according to some comparisons, which do not seem very scientific to me, we say that it is on the second place in melodic features after the Italian language. Anyway, we have Cyrillic alphabet, and many of you ask me about that, and maybe it would be better to switch into Latin. But I am personally 100% supporter of Cyrillic, because it is our cultural heritage. This alphabet came from our territories, and there is no need to give it together with all the books written in it, all the important historical messages that were fixed with this alphabet, to give it all to Russia and once again make it the heir of Kiev Rus and all of that stuff. I know it could simplify our integration into the Western world, but at the same time, I don't think that alphabet can prevent that. If you would like, I think maybe it is worth to record a separate video that can introduce you to the basic of the Cyrillic alphabet. That causes problems, but at the same time, everything exotic is nice. I adore looking at Greek alphabet or Georgian alphabet or some Arabic letters on the backside, for example, of my gel shower or shower gel. The most popular letter in Ukrainian language is letter P, which stands for P, like potato sound. The less popular is F, sound F, which is not common for Ukrainian and was borrowed from Greek, if I'm not mistaken. Also, we have long word, we have flexions. Our language has 7 cases, which makes it similar to Latin and Sanskrit. By the way, some scientists find lots of things in common between Ukrainian and Sanskrit. I don't think we can check it, but an interesting and a fun fact. What else? Ukrainian is now taught everywhere at schools and the universities, but for decades during Soviet occupation, it was almost extinct from the official communication, and it was important to speak Russian to build a career. We have lots of interesting writers, we have lots of interesting poets, and all of that helped our language survive. When we look at the decades of repressions, we still see the products of their work, and I think this helped us survive, in contrast, for example, to Belarusian language, which is the closest to Ukrainian, not Russian. The first closest language to Ukrainian is Belarus, and we share 84% of lexicon. And on the second and third place, we have Polish and Slovak, not Russian. And I feel really sorry for Belarusian speakers. And I do hope after we win, after Putin's regime falls, Lukashenko regime follows him, it will be possible to revive the language and make it used actively on the streets of Belarus. What else can I tell you? We have a couple of spellings that change very often. We have, like when I read books written in Ukrainian at the beginning of the 20th century, I'm surprised how rich they are in vocabulary, and I have to confess that the Soviet period erased lots of really tasty words from our language, but we still recognize them. Now we read these books, and I hope we will be able to return them into active usage. Also, I'm sure you remember that this war started with a couple of memes when Russians were not able to pronounce our words, and one of the such words was palyanitsa, which meant loaf of bread. And for Russians, it's very difficult to produce the sound tsa, which is soft ts. And it's not very common in different languages. Kitsa, which is a cat, palyanitsa, which is a loaf of bread, polunitsa, which is a strawberry, they are difficult for pronunciation. We have some weird for Russian ear letters like yi, which is in Ukraina, and g, which is different from h. For example, we can say gazeta, which is a newspaper. And I think sometimes from time to time you ask me to introduce you to some Ukrainian words and phrases, and it's difficult for me to choose because I believe our language is beautiful and there are so many things that you can say. So perhaps I will finish today's video with an address to you in Ukrainian. And it will be interesting for me to know how many of you will understand what I meant. Maybe some of you speak Ukrainian. So let me tell you this phrase, and later, if you will ask, I will translate it. Я дуже вас всіх люблю і страшенно ціную, що у мого каналу так багато підписників справжніх, яких цікавить доля України, яких цікавить наша історія і які в ці темні і складні часи завжди з нами. Ця підтримка, вона безцінна, і я обіцяю вам, що Україна обов'язково далі відповідатиме іншим країнам силою, красою, любов'ю. І сподіваюсь, скоро ви зможете приїхати сюди і переконатися в нашій гостинності, краси нашої землі і наших людей. Oh, maybe that was a long passage, but I know you wanted to hear me speak Ukrainian, and that was something that I wanted to let you know. Thank you so much for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons. Let me know what are the things you would like to know about Ukraine, our language, and of course the situation during this awful war with Russia. Thank you for your support. If you like this video, thumb up. Please subscribe to my channel, as the world needs to know more about Ukraine during these times, and in general there are lots of interesting things happening and that were happening here during the centuries of our history. Slava Ukraini!